我们下面呢非常开心的邀请到，也请我们用热烈的掌声欢迎烈士文山国会议员马万里议员 Majid Johari 上台致辞。Now let's put our hands together to invite the Member of the Parliament to Richmond Hill, Mr. Majid Johari, to step on the stage to address a few words with us.
Well, good morning, everyone. As said, my name is Majid Johari. I'm the Member of Parliament for Richmond Hill and Markham. I bring you a greeting on behalf of the Government of Canada, and it's so good to be here, especially during the month that you're celebrating Asian Heritage Month. Dajaha Wushe Mawanli. I'm also known as Mawanli. I'm quite proud of my Chinese name because it has a special meaning to me. I'd like to start with a number of few acknowledgements. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the indigenous land that we are holding this event and the treaties that we are bound with. Also like to acknowledge some of my colleagues from various levels of government who are here present today, making sure that we are well represented from all levels, as well as I'd like to acknowledge the organizers for doing this event. I want to specifically name them. So Canada Universal Media Association, the H&R, Immigration Oral History Institute, and September Days Media, for you to have put this event together. As I said, we are celebrating Asian Heritage Month, and it is very, very important for us to make sure that we do everything we can to acknowledge the contribution of the Chinese Canadian over the many, many years that we've had the benefit of having Chinese living in Canada. So I was quite intrigued when I saw the agenda and the theme, which is Here We Stay. To me, it was very, very meaningful, and especially when you look at as we're celebrating 155 years of Canada's history. And the way the theme was selected, and the fact that now we're going back and we're looking at 155 different individuals over 155 years, how they have shaped the Canadian history. And they share their experience. It could have been put in a book. It could have been testimonial. But what you've chosen to do is you've chosen to use oral history saying. Why? Because these are the things that will stay for a very, very long time. It can be passed from generation to generation. If you look at the indigenous, when you look at elders, I remember most of the stories that I remember, it's not from the books that I read. It is from the stories that my grandparents and the stories that I heard. So the fact that today we have chosen, these three organizations have chosen the method of saying oral history of 155 individuals over the last 155 years is very meaningful. Why is it important for us to do that now, at this time? As you know, as a result of COVID and many other factors, the anti-Asian hate and racism has increased. So how do you confront that? First of all, you steadfast and you stay strong. Number two is you come out and you say this is wrong. So I'm specifically here to say this is wrong. But also you educate. And how do you educate? How do you educate is you use all means possible to be able to bring that understanding of the uniqueness of the culture, the contribution of that culture to the Canadian history. You acknowledge when people who are here for 20 years, or people who are here only for 10 years. I've lived in Canada for 43 years. Therefore, I've spent more than 3/4 of my life in Canada. So when the newcomers come to Canada, they understand, they hear the history, and they hear it from 155 different people, from different backgrounds, from different contribution. That generates an understanding. That understanding generates respect, and therefore it generates tolerance, and then that's one way we can fight the anti-Asian history. We are also in a difficult time vis-a-vis our relationship between the two countries. Those are on the political side will find themselves to get resolved. What we can do as individuals, as Chinese Canadians, as Canadians, is to make sure that we keep the bilateral, we keep cultural channels open, and things will work out themselves. So we do our own part. I'm doing my own part. I'm here. I'm making sure that I support the event. I support the theme of the event. It is so beautiful that we are bringing, you know, July 1st, 155 years with the 155 story, the methods we've taken, and all of that. That's really resonated with me, and I wanted to specifically to be here to make sure that that story is being told, because as much as we're going to create a clip, or the organizer are going to create a clip and we're going to put the clips, but putting it into perspective, why is it important, how is it important, and why this method, I believe, is going to help address many issues is also important. So I thank the organizer. I know I talked a lot, but this is something that I'm quite passionate about. I know I talked a lot, but this was important. It is important for us to not only participate in this event, support the organizer, but also make sure everybody hears it. So when this is being live streamed, over 600 channels are right now live streaming it. And I hope it goes across the world and it talks about what Canadian Chinese have done over the last, or Chinese Canadian, whatever the right terminology is. We are all Canadian as far as I'm concerned. What we've done and what's been done for this country. So thank you very much, and I just want to ask one of the representatives from the three organizations to come on the stage, or all three of them come to the stage to receiving this grading letter. Thank you very much, and please make sure you talk about this event. This is very important. Thank you, and once again,
Thank you. So thank you so much for your great work, and thank you so much for the great support for the Canadian Chinese community.
You're the roads.
Okay, in the middle, right here. Yeah, good. Here, good.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now, 接下来让我们有请万锦市文化及经济发展委员会的主席，也是我们万锦市议员 Alan Ho 何虎锦先生上台致辞。Welcome the City Councilor of the Markham, Alan, to address a few words with us.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Alan Ho, Markham City Councillor. I would like to congratulate the organizer for hosting this such meaningful event, thoughtful event. And as a matter of fact, we are blessed to live in Canada because we have a policy of multiculturalism. This is very important. Because we are having multiculturalism in our country. In fact, we have much less racial discrimination compared with other countries. Here, I would like to share with you very briefly some stories. I hope I will make it very short. I just want to remind some of the people, in particular, from the Chinese community. Do you still remember, when the dynasty Qin established? Let me tell you, 221 BC. That means more than 2,200 years ago. And what did they do? They built the Great Wall. The purpose of building the Great Wall is to ward away the enemies. The Chinese people didn't want to fight. However, let me share with you another story. 500 years later, 304 AD. I don't know how to speak in English. We are talking about the 5 barbarian attack. 五胡乱华，听得明白吗？谢谢。The 5 barbarians. I even don't know how to say in English. 空卢、鲜卑、氐、江、茄，对不对呀？好。我为什么要讲这歌了？因为呢，有一个民族，这些钱，当时呢，在中国有的 population 呢就是2000万，其中一个外族的钱呢，他们打进中国，他们从来不带进粮的 no food at all. What did they do? They, grab a lot of ladies and kill them, every day as food. So after several years, you know what? From 20 million population down to 4 million. They killed 16 million Chinese people. Most of them, are ladies for food. And then, this is, I believe that, the first genocide in history took place in mainland China, in China. AD 304, remember this year, I always remember, well, because, I'm quite good in history, because, in the olden days, if, I can answer, some questions, I would get prize. And what's the result? In the end, a Chinese person called Miao Yan, something like that. 他说了定了一个 policy， 杀胡令，听得懂吗？就是他搭起很多中国人，把这个其余的民族杀掉。因此呢，五胡乱华最后只有4个民族有一个杀掉了。This is the first genocide, in I believe that human history. And later on, we heard a lot of genocide stories like 1915. The Turkish people killed Armenian. Still remember? And then 1944 something, the Holocaust, this kind of thing. So I hope we remember this kind of history. What for? In order to let us understand, we have to be kind to people. We have to be accommodative. To love people, to support each other, not to attack each other. So here, I would like to stop here, and thank you so much, to the organizer for organizing this, such meaningful event. And another thing is talking about, the Chinese, immigration story. As a matter of fact, it started 170 years ago. From 1855, when a lot of Chinese people, came to North America, United States and Canada to dig gold. 1858, and then, well, very briefly, in 1880, the Chinese, the Canadian government needed, a lot of Chinese immigrants to build a railroad, and 1885, the Canadian government wanted to get all the Chinese people away because they didn't speak English. So after that, we have head tax from 1885 and then 1803 from $50 to $500, and finally the Chinese Exclusion Act 1923 to 1947. For 24 years, the Canadian government didn't allow any Chinese to come to Canada. And that is why a lot of people, one of them is me, wanted to participate in politics in order to make sure that this kind of thing would not happen again. Thank you so much. I talk too much. Thank you.
谢谢我们何不仅议员给我们百忙当中的支持。A really good history class in such an early morning. 接下来呢，让我们有请万景市议员伊莎丽李思韵女士上台致辞。
Thank you so much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's once again my great pleasure to be here, joining all of you to witness the book launch and also this really wonderful event. And I would like to first of all congratulate the organizers for this is actually a real milestone. As me as a Chinese descent, I'm really extremely proud to have witnessing such an event happening. It's a really meaningful record-keeping event, not only just for us Chinese, but for what the symbolism for multiculturalism in Canada. So what I found is really extremely meaningful to have it being launched today, actually in this month during the Asian Heritage Month. So once again, I will be very brief, short, but once again, we'd like to congratulate the organizers and hope you enjoyed the book launch and the event afterwards. Thank you so much.
You have the greeting letter.
Oh, yes, I totally forgot about that.
So the PR officer from H&R Immigration Oral History Institute, Diana. Yeah, please stand in the center of the stage. Yes. And thank you so much for your great support. Thank you so much. And we also get the support and the greeting letters from the Consulate General of the People's Republic of China, Toronto. 那我们这场活动呢，也得到了我们中国驻多伦多总领馆的支持和肯定。同时呢，我们看到了在 Senator Victor Ho sent his greeting from Ottawa， 加拿大联邦参议院的胡子修先生也从渥太华为我们发来了贺信。同时，我们也收到了 Minister of the Intergovernmental Affairs of Canada, Minister of the Infrastructure and Community, President of the Privy Council, Honorable Dominic LeBlanc, sent his greeting videos. Now, let's look at VCR.
Hi, it's Dominic LeBlanc, Canada's Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Infrastructure and Communities. Welcome to the Here to Stay launch ceremony. And a special thank you to my friend Frank Zhao and to the HR Oral History Institute. Your contribution to Canada is very important to us, and I thank you for all the work you're doing, and I wish you a very successful conference.
Thank you, and we also have the Minister of the International Trade, Export Promotion, Small Business Member of Parliament, Markham Thornhill, the Honorable Mary Ng, sent the greeting and said she wished to celebrate and recognize our project of recording the history of Chinese immigrants across Canada and our book launch today. 同时，我们也收到了加拿大退伍军人事务部长、加拿大国防副部长劳伦斯麦考利阁下给我们发来的贺信。The Minister of the Maternal Affairs and Associate Minister of the National Defense, Honorable Lawrence McAuley, sent his greeting letters to us. And also 同时我们也收到了爱德华王子岛省长 Dennis King 从 PEI 发来的贺信，还有我们现在看到的我们的老朋友，我们的 Member of Parliament Scarborough North Sean Chen sent his greeting letter and the video. Let's check out what he said to us.
大家好，我是陈申言，联邦国会议员。Hello, this is Sean Chen, Member of Parliament for Scarborough North. And I'm very pleased to bring greetings on this wonderful occasion of the 2022 Multicultural Oral History Forum and Here We Stay book launch. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to gather to celebrate the incredible contributions of Canadians of Chinese descent to building this great country. Over the past 155 years, Canada has transformed into the multicultural, diverse society that it is today, and Chinese Canadians have played an important part. Let us continue to share the stories of Canadians of Chinese descent. Let us honor the traditions that contribute to Canada's multicultural fabric. I wish you a most successful forum and book launch, and thank you for the work that you are doing to promote intercultural learning, peace, and understanding. Thank you all. I wish you a successful event. 谢谢大家。
谢谢。那我们也看到，我们还收到 Member of the Parliament Unionville Pao Chang and the Member of the Parliament Aurora Oak Ridge Richmond Hill Leah Taylor Roy 都给我们分别发来了贺信，也高度肯定了我们口述历史项目。同时，多伦多市议员 Shelley Karen 也特别发来祝贺视频，让我们来看一下 Shelley 怎么说。
Hello, I'm Shelley Carroll, the Ward 17 City Councillor. That's Don Valley North. I'm so grateful to see the Multicultural Oral History Forum of 2022 launching Here We Stay, a celebration of the stories of Chinese immigrants in Canada. Many Chinese families have settled in Don Valley North, and they deserve to see their stories celebrated. After all, it says a lot about who we are in Don Valley North, a vibrant, welcoming community. I look forward to the organization's success with this event, and we thank you so much for your contribution to the Chinese community that we love so well.
Thank you。那我们看到，除了我们多伦多市议员 Shelley Karen， 其实我们还有多伦多市议员 Nick Mantis 和我们的赖桂霞 Vincent Lai 也分别来信支持我们。同时，在列治文山也是我们一个华裔特别居住的地方，列治文山市议员陈志辉先生也通过视频来支持我们本次活动。
Hello. I'm Councillor Godwin Chan from the city of Richmond Hill in Ontario, Canada. I'm so happy to really extend my sincere congratulations to everyone attending this particular very meaningful ceremony, which is on the 2022 Multicultural Oral History Forum. And Here We Stay launch ceremony. Particular thanks to the Canadian Universal Media Association, the H&R Immigrants of Oral History Institute, and SEPT Days Media. It is a really memorable time for Chinese Canadians who settle in this great land called Canada, and whether in fact they're in the Pacific Coast, British Columbia, all the way to Atlantic Coast, in Newfoundland, the Maritimes, or even in the further north, in the territories. The Chinese Canadians have really helped to build a strong country. Many people know about the Chinese migrants who helped build the Canadian Pacific Railroad. And that really a tremendous achievement for helping to unite Canada from west to east. And in fact, over the last over 155 years, that Canadians from all walks of life have contributed to, everything that we come to enjoy here in Canada. We have a Governor General who's of Chinese Canadian origin. We also have the Lieutenant Governor of Chinese Canadian, in not just one province, but 3 provinces, if I am right: British Columbia, Alberta, and Manitoba. And together, let's celebrate of our proud heritage, as well as working together with our diverse ethnocultural groups in the social fabric of Canada to build a truly vibrant, multicultural Canada. And this is also the month of May, an Asian Heritage Month, which is also celebrating 20th anniversary. So to each and every one of you who are in attendance, and have a wonderful ceremony. And yes, have we stay and let's build Canada together. Enjoy and have a good day. And this is from Councillor Godwin Chan of Richmond Hill, Ontario, Canada.
Thank you, Councillor Chan, and let's celebrate together. I just saw an old friend and a long-time supporter from the Markham City Councillor Amanda Gucci is coming. So please welcome to step on the stage to give your address, remarks.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm so happy to be here this morning to attend and support this event. And well, May is Asian Heritage Month, and City of Markham is really the most diverse city in Canada. And we also have a lot of Asian population as well. And I think that this event is so meaningful in a way that is to really help us to really understand the long-standing history of Asian Canadians, their contributions in Canada, and how we are able to contribute to these communities, this society, and also more importantly, to help build this country. So I think that it's a great event, and I look forward to hearing all the stories and all of the histories of how Asians have built this country. So 祝你们的活动完满成功, and I also have a greeting letters that I would like to present to the organizer, and also to thank you very sincerely to help us to remember all of our histories in Canada. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We know this, thank you so much. And we know this year we have marked the 20th anniversary of the Asian Heritage Month, and the theme is continue a legacy of greatness. So this offers us the opportunity to celebrate and to take this time to learn more about the Asian Canadian history and recognize the incredible contributions from the Asian Canadians who have made and contribute to our country. 那么下面呢，也有请我们知名的侨领，也是我们加拿大多伦多华人团体联合会的主席，加拿大多元文化媒体联盟筹委会的主席翁国宁先生为我们致辞。Now let's welcome the chairman of the Confederation of Toronto Canadian Chinese Organization and the chairman of the Preparation Committee of the Canadian Multicultural Media Coalition, Mr. Wong Guoning, to address a few words with us.
大家好，我是多伦多华人团体联合总会温国宁，很高兴参加由华人移民考述历史中心、加拿大多族裔媒体协会和加拿大7天传媒共同主办的2022族裔记录与多元文化论坛及选择新书发布会。通过考述历史、访谈记录的保存，记述加拿大各个族裔移民多元化的生活，并探索移民对新家园的贡献，是对事实的尊重和历史的补充，在目前也非常有现实意义。考述历史，我们 加拿大的建设和发展，我们华裔没有缺席，一直参与其中，所以我们可以自豪地说，华裔与其他加拿大各族裔一样，都是这个国家的主人。我预祝活动取得圆满成功，感谢这个活动的组织者和所有的参与者，谢谢大家。
谢谢贺女主席，那也留步吧。那我们马上呢要进行的是我们的这个捐书仪式，因为在我们的口述历史项目当中呢，除了视频的采访，我们的受访人呢其实还特别一起制作了我们的书。那么我们今天的也有一个新书发布会，就是我们的选择这本书是我们海洋省卷的。那我们现在呢用文字的方式将这个口述历史定格呈现，同时也希望更多的加拿大华人可以看到它，能够将我们的这个历史传承下去。那我们下面呢，也有请我们的2位万锦市议员上台，能够接受我们的捐赠，也希望能够把这本书带回给我们的万锦市图书馆。那么有请我们的 Amanda Glucci 和 Isa Lee， 还有我们加拿大多伦多华人团体联合总会的主席汪主席，还有我们的主办方的代表 Fred Lee， 我们的新动力传媒的 CEO Patrick Hall， 我们的多元族裔的秘书长 Brian 先生，还有我们家中友好协会的主席周璇，华人移民口述历史中心的王菲、刘少卿，我们的团队成员，我们的 Diana 女士，我们加拿大7天传媒的尹玲女士，还有我们选择一书的出版人杨琦先生，我们莽中间台镇站，我们一起带着我们的书一起来做一个 group picture， 也感谢我们所有朋友对于我们这场活动的支持，谢谢大家。感谢各位朋友来帮助我们，来支持我们，也希望让我们把这本具有里程碑意义式的这本书带给更多的加拿大的华人和各族裔的加拿大朋友。谢谢各位，谢谢各位，请落座。那我们今天呢，除了来自我们中加两地的政府和各区社区的领袖来给我们做支持，同时呢，我们还收到了一份特别的祝福，是来自大洋彼岸的祝福。Last but not least, Mr. Lin Hui, the Deputy Director of Cui Yongyuan Center of Oral History of Communication University of China, sent her greeting from China. 那中国传媒大学崔有元口述历史中心的副主任林慧女士也从大洋彼岸给我们送来了祝福和分享。
Hello， 大家好，我是中国传媒大学崔有元口述历史研究中心的副主任林慧，也是中国口述历史国际周项目的总发起人。大家都能看到啊，这几年口述历史在国际上都迎来了一个大规模的发展。我觉得这个首先呢要得益于媒介进程的促进，让每个个体呢都得到了用录音、录像 像这样的方式去记录身边点滴的技术条件。而另外一方面呢，也是因为多元的文化环境，让大家有了表达自己内心的经历和故事这样的意愿。而将这两点结合到一起的人，也就是说主动用影像或者录音的方式去记录身边人故事的人，我觉得他们才是真正的心怀星辰大海的人。少卿哥还有王菲大哥，还有于海老师等等，这些我们的口述历史同路人，他们就是我心目中这些心怀星辰大海的人。而且他们把自己的这份能力和情怀呢，跨越重洋带到了加拿大，记录下来了这个加拿大华人移民口述历史的项目。我很高兴看到这个项目的第一本成果能够顺利的出版，也非常预祝今天我们的族裔记录与多元文化的论坛呢能够顺利成功。也希望未来加拿大华人移民口述历史可以作为加拿大和中国两个国家共同记忆的这样的一个实际版图的一部分，进而成为整个中华民族和世界记忆的文化的一部分。非常想念大家，也谢谢大家。
谢谢李慧女士从中国给我们送来的祝福和肯定。那么接下来呢，我们也有请我们活动的主办方之一多族裔媒体协会的秘书长 Byron Calvo 先生为我们致辞。Now let's welcome as very special guest speaker who represent Kuma to share a few words with us. Byron.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. My name is Byron. I represent Kuma. I want to thank everybody for sharing this special moment, this great event. Kuma, what we do is we unite and represent the interest of all members of the media that represent the minority groups in Canada by promoting social, cultural, and commercial integration, and also we promote multiculturalism. We also support it. Tonight, I want to congratulate the H&R Immigrant Oral History Institute for the launch of this great event and also for this book. It is about the oral history of 155 Chinese immigrants whose life experience and contribution in Canada is highlighted in this book. It is also to celebrate the 155th anniversary of the founding of this great country we call home, which is Canada. Thanks again, and please enjoy.
Thank you, Barry. And do you like to speak a little bit of Spanish?
Muchas gracias por participar en esta noche, en este gran evento. A todos ustedes, damas y caballeros, por este gran libro que estamos promoviendo, que es la historia de 155 inmigrantes chinos que vinieron a Canadá y eventualmente cambiaron las vidas de muchas personas. De nuevo, les agradezco por su participación y que disfruten este evento. Gracias.
Gracias. Even though I don't know what you say, but I know it's all good words. So much. OK， 那让我们下面有请谢谢 Byron 对我们的支持，也谢谢他代表的 Kuma 以及邀请了很多 multicultural 的 media 的朋友来到我们的会场给我们的支持。那么下面呢，让我们有请家中友好交流协会的执行主席周璇先生 Frank Joe 为我们 share a few words. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. City Council from Markham, and hello everyone. Thank you so much to attending this great events. This is the Asian Heritage Year of Canada this month is, and the theme of this month is carry our legacy of our greatness. So Chinese Canadians being from 1970s to Canada as 17,000 people at the time to now we have 1.8 million people across Canada. And it's recorded the footprint of our Chinese Canadians transformation year by year. And we're glad to see this great events archiving all the greatness of what Chinese Canadians did for our community across the country. From the shore of Atlantic to the beaches of Pacific. This is the great way to capturing 155 people at the year of our great nation, 155 years old birthday. So, as a Chinese Canadian and also the representative of Canada-China Friendship and Goodwill Association, we are working tightly with our strategic partner to helping every people across our nation to showcase their engagement and transformation across our nations, also in China. We've been helping our provincial relationship with China through from Yukon Territory, BC, all the way to Ontario and Newfoundland. So our goal is really enhance the partnership between culture to culture and people to people's tie between China and Canada. And at the end, I'm looking forward to have more collaborations with Fred and the team to have the better stories, archiving, to print out the footprint of the Canadians, Chinese Canadians in Canada. Thank you. 谢谢大家.
Thank you so much. 谢谢 Frank 主席给我们的致辞。那么我相信大家已经听了很多有关于口述历史项目，这么多的社区的领袖，这么多的3级政要，还有我们不同的 partner 都来说它这么好，这么好。那么究竟这个项目是怎么样的？有怎么样的一个深远的历史和值得我们今天高朋满座来在这里一起去庆祝，一起去见证。那我们就有请一位美丽而睿智的女士，戴安娜女士，也是我们 HNR 我们这个口述历史中心的 PR Office 来给我们来介绍一下，发表一下我们今天的 Keynote Speech， 有请。
Hello, good morning, dear guests and friends. And welcome to today's Multicultural Forum. My name is Diana Chu. I'm the Public Relations Officer working with Friday and the other colleagues for this oral history projects. And Friday has touched base a little bit about what we're doing and how we're doing. So just please allow me to elaborate a little bit more. So the name of today's event is called multiculturalism. So when we hear the word multiculturalism, so most people, would think different countries, different languages, different races. So as a matter of fact, the word of multicultural has a deeper and wider meaning. So when I did my research, I came across the Global Diversity Index. So the following criteria are used to measure the level of diversity. Next. So as you can see on the screen, and normally based on our understanding, the diversity refers to the different ethnic diversities, the immigrants, the spoken languages we have, and the religious. So more often, actually nowadays, we add more criteria into the diversity index, which includes, the LGBT rights and freedoms and level of personal freedom. So today, here, when we stand here and start talking about history, we actually talking about history in this context. So according to the different measurement criteria, so we have different answers. So do you know, normally, like using the criteria showed on the previous page, 前面的那一页，再往前，回到刚才那一页， yeah. So actually, a few countries in Africa ranked on the highest. It's just simply because of the multitude of tribal languages and groups. So if you look at Canada, Canada actually is considered the most diverse countries in the Western countries. So let me ask some questions. So to the audience, please raise your hand if you are the first generation immigrants. 所以请大家举手，如果你是第一代的移民。Okay, so hold your hands up, don't put it down. So my next question is, if you are the second generation immigrants, please raise your hands. No, the first one still put your hands up. Yes, please. So the third question is that if you are the immigrants, coming from the immigrants family, like you are the third generation, fourth generation, put your hands up. So look around and see the hands up. So with the hands up, actually is a way to demonstrate the diversity in Canada. Thank you so much. Put your hands down, please. So let's now look at some data. 下一页，谢谢。So this one actually is the immigrants' levels over the time. You can see the fluctuations over the time, and look at the recent 10 years. So the numbers actually is climbing high. So the next one, thank you. So here is the recent numbers, which came from the IRCC, and that is the number, for the next 2 years, including this year. That's the immigrants' numbers we want to bring in to Canada. So remember that number, 400, over 400, K. So. If you look at those data, you may think about, as immigrants, when we get together, a very common topic we talk about is, how do you immigrate to Canada? Through which programs and what you experiences. So then you will hear a lot of different stories from each individuals. So all those stories, sometimes you feel amazed, surprised, shocked, frustrated, but just the different stories. But if you still look at that number, so actually every numbers behind there is a stories, which means you will have a lot of stories from each immigrants. So don't you think when we put together all those stories, so it becomes a part of the history. So we are probably not as famous as the famous ones. So however, even as a drop of water, and we have a value to add to the ocean. So it is the reason why, as a team, we are here today, and it is our purpose to preserve the history, pass on that to the future generations. So we tell the world, we've been here, that's what happened, that's why it happened, and that's how it happened. So next page, please. A little bit of information, just for you to relate it to the diversity. So nowadays, if you look at the data, actually 1/4, the numbers, on the labor market, is newcomers. So in the future, it's gonna be the 1/3. So then you actually definitely, have a lot of newcomers surrounding in your working environment. Next one. Thank you. Rose. Next one. Thank you. So I think from the previous speech, people already talk about our projects. So our project actually started in China and crossed the border to Canada. So we plan to interview 150 people, Chinese immigrants, and right now we already completed 2/3, Chinese immigrants interviewees. So, according to the principle we have, as Fred mentioned, no judgment. We just simply to recall their stories. And so through the interview questions, we want to understand, so why they made the choice, to be here. So, what their journeys looks like, what happened. So next page, please. Next one, thank you. So you can actually click, yes, thank you. So among those people we interviewed, as you can see, they come from the different professions, they're working in the different professional field. So this is a trailer, for today's video, which, we're gonna play later on. But here is the trailer, you can play, thank you.
Hard there, and they all want to experience Gold Mountain.
There was a head tax which started at $50 for every Chinese entering Canada. Later changed to the Exclusion Act from 1923 to 1947.
The worst of it was that we were not white, we were not black.
We are Chinese, don't get me wrong, we feel it, but we are also Canadian first.
They had to terminate my job that day.
Those cousins
their reports. They're very compassionate. The only place that we actually got an invitation was PI. Most people were welcoming.
We have a little United Nations in our family.
环境、人情，都非常好，他们的人民都很友善，我还是喜欢这个地方。
I'm very happy to be a Canadian Chinese.
I love my country, Canada, as much as I love China. 我的祖国。
So I want to emphasize, as the last, comments for my speech. Although the project actually is started in Chinese community, but we do expect to expand that, to include other minority groups. So that's our hope. We expect the collaborations with governments and academic organizations and other minority groups in the future. So let's preserve the history and leave our imprint on the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Diana, to let us know more about this Oral History Project. And we know it's not an easy job. 155 people. To become one of that, you have to meet a lot of criteria. So right now, let's welcome our next guest speaker, who is the interviewee, one of the 155. So Mr. Huang, she's going to share a few words with us about her immigration story to Canada. 那么下面呢，就让我们有请我们来自海洋省的受访代表，她也是我们大西洋4省2022年评选出来的25位最有影响力的女性之一。受访者黄胜女士来分享她的移民心路历程。
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Sherry Huang from Atlantic Canada, CEO of Sunrise Group. It was such a pleasure for me to be here, and I have to say, when Mr. Wang first told me this project, I was so impressed because I was thinking, wow, this is what a unique idea and approach to record our story and our pathway in Canada. We're Canadian Chinese immigrants, and we all have our own story, different, because we come different time of the year and we have different backgrounds, but we use these stories recorded, we can share, we can hear from each other, we can share our story, we can appreciate each other, inspired by each other, the achievement. But most importantly, I think we can encourage by each other's dedication and also our effort made to actually overcome all the barriers and hurdles when we first moved here and carved out a place for ourselves and rebuild our life in our new home. So I come from Atlantic Canada, so my pathway to Canada is actually all the way from the West Coast to East Coast. I start from Vancouver and I moved to Toronto, and then I eventually settled in Atlantic Canada, and then since then it has been 10+ years. So I've been asked a question many times, and through different people I met there and events and interviews, is what brought you here? Because 10 or 15 years ago, Atlantic Canada had a very small immigration group. What brought you here? So I always telling them the reason many times, but after 10+ years, I will say, well, since I'm here for so long, maybe the question will be, what kept you here? Why you stay in Atlantic Canada? So when I think about that, I think it's about people. It's about the community there. It's how nice the people are there. So when you move into a new neighborhood, your neighbor wants to meet you, they knock to your door and they say hi, they want to know what brought you here, they want to know more about you, maybe more than what you want to share sometimes. but it's in a good way. They're very welcoming. You feel warm. So that kept me there, and we start our business. But a lot of time people will say, well, Atlantic Canada is small, the market is small, the population is small. But I will say, I grew up in a country with 1.4 billion people, and I live in a city with 30 million people. So I know what big means. But sometimes small is probably not necessarily a bad thing. I think small is also can mean easy access, effective, and powerful. So I always say that Atlantic Canada is a place you can start with small, but you have unlimited potential to grow. I think that's how our company has been grown there. We start from Atlantic Canada, but Sunrise Group of Company now grow across Canada and also across China. And our business line is from education. We have private college there, and we have investment, active investments, and we do consulting, we promote trade. We also do immigration works and digital marketings. We connect bridges between Atlantic Canada to China, to Asia. So we brought Kao's ice cream, our icon, from Canada to China. We bought Anna Green Gable to China. We also had the Sing China audition hosted in Atlantic Canada to showcase our Chinese, the best singers. And when actually Minister In went to China 2 years ago, he was at my store, Kao's store in Beijing, celebrate the National Day of Canada in July 1st. We had a great time there, showcase Canadian culture there. So I think my mandate, my goal, my story was connecting both nations, connecting the business opportunity, but also the culture exchange, showcase our own culture. The MT just said, it's important to share our ideas, customs, and cultures to understand each other. I think as a Chinese Canadian, it is very important for us to be here to adopting the local culture, but never lose our own cultural identity. I think that's very important. And this month is the Asian Heritage Month, and the theme is continuing a legacy of greatness. I think this is what this project, Here We Stay, gonna always remind us about that. So I want to congratulate for this project and congratulate the team with all the success and many, many success on the road upcoming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sherry. What a wonderful, inspiring story. And I think that is why you invited and we chose you. You're really representative of the true Canadian Chinese immigrants. And we wish that the story like you and the people like you could be known and shared by more people and inspire the future generations. And we could become the future, or we are already become the bridge between nations and nations. So right now, before we head to our next part, I would like to invite all the media friends and our good friends from the community to step on the stage to have the group pictures. And that is the request from our organizers. So is that my request? So please step on the stage and we could celebrate together because we want to celebrate together for this meaningful milestone. Okay. 请下面呢，请我们所有的媒体的朋友，还有我们的各位尊敬的我们的各位朋友们，我们的社区的朋友，还有我们的叶明画廊的单总，还有我们的陈云章主席，都可以上台，跟我们一起来见证这个非常有意义的今天的我们的新书发布会和我们的论坛。我们也希望能够在我们所有媒体的见证下，一起来铭记这个非常非常有纪念意义的时刻。那李思韵、李议员可以上台吗？还有我们的受访代表，我们的翟安娜，我们的刘少奇，我们的杨琪，我们的主编，还有我们想要上台合影的媒体朋友都可以，天阳也可以一起来啊。我们媒体摄影老师指导一下怎么排位，能一起收一下，是不是2排比较好？太宽了，2排比较好，能够方便蹲下的女士和男士，能够方便的在中间，好不好？往中间一点点。 不要全蹲，来半蹲的，能够方便的，哎，可以。我们方便的往前，往中间，往中间集中，好吧？好，再往中间集中一点。
其实我们可以一排站在总理前面吧。
可以。好，就这样听我们的摄影师的，应该是可以的啊。好的，谢谢。谢谢大家的到来。
不要动啊！
谢谢大家。好，再来一张。好了吗？谢谢。哎，别急，我们还有一位。好，再来一张。
好。第一排可以站起来，没关系啊。
好，可以放松一下了。好，再坚持最后3秒钟，保持大家的微笑 ，smile。
OK， look at here。
好，把大家最灿烂的笑容给我们的 camera。好的，谢谢大家。我们的张烨女士请留步，大家可以就座了。谢谢大家来帮助我们一起来 celebrate the special moment. So now let's welcome Mr. Zhang Yan to talk about her story. So why you going to choose Canada and how do you feel about the Canadian life? Okay. 好，我们的嘉宾请就座，有请我们的张烨女士分享您的移民故事。Hello everyone, I feel very fortunate to share my immigration experience and my love story with you. It took about 4 years and a half of the work from Beijing to Toronto. I sent my application immigration to Canada since 1995, and then studying English is my priority. So after work, I went to Beijing. One night before I take off, I was waked up by telephone ring. A man anxiously said, "Hello, it is Patrick. Can you hear me? Do you remember me?" I couldn't believe what I'm hearing. It is Patrick. I just flew back from Beijing. How about I go and visit you? Can I do something for you? I don't believe what I'm hearing. Yes, of course, I said. Just please help me change the lock, and then help me get rid of the bugs, of the roaches, through the dead pigeon from my balcony, and help me find the Chinese grocery store. And if possible, if you like, please take me to the romantic Niagara Falls. So, the big question is, how did Patrick find my Toronto phone number? So let us bring this question and find the answer from the book Here We Stay. And I'm sure there are lots of wonderful stories we can share and we can enjoy. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Zhang Yan. And I would like to check out your story to find where the romantic comes from. 那接下来呢，我也非常荣幸的用热烈的掌声有请咱们加拿大知名的媒体人尹玲女士。那我们知道尹玲女士是我们加拿大7天旅游文化传媒集团的主席，也是我们海外华文媒体传闻，也是我们海外华文传媒协会的副主席。那么我们这位优雅睿智的尹玲女士呢，将为我们开启今天的多元文化的历史论坛。Now let's welcome a wisdom and a very elegant lady, Ms. Ying Ling. And she is the president and the publisher of the Seth Days. And also, she is the vice president of International Chinese Language Media Association. So now, let's welcome Ms. Ying Ling on the stage to embark our 2022 Multicultural Oral History Forum with 4 distinguished guest speakers. Now it is your round.
谢谢笑笑，谢谢 Thank you, Margaret. My name is Yin Ling. I'm from Montreal. Yesterday, my team came from Montreal, all the way from Montreal. So I should say greetings from Montreal to everyone. It is really my great honor and happiness to be here in such a beautiful season, beautiful day in Toronto. And really, I'm very thanks to Fred to offer this opportunity for today to join with this, multicultural forum. As an immigrant, Canada is our home, common home and hope. So, multicultural really shaping Canada to be a country of inclusive. So today's forum theme is multicultural. There's over 200 ethnic groups living in Canada. Every group is working hard to preserve their own culture, meanwhile contributing to the Canadian society as a whole, also shaping Canada to be a great country of inclusive. 所以呢，我们今天的论坛的主题呢是多元文化。那么，因为我们还有看看 App 和墨风美术呢两个直播间呢在直播，所以呢，我也想借这个机会，除了向现场的朋友们问好以外，也想借这个机会呢，向看看 App 和墨风直播间的朋友们问好。大家呢现在在天南地北，我们现在呢是在多伦多，加拿大的多伦多向您直播2022多元文化论坛和选择的新书发布会的现场。谢谢大家呢光临我们的直播间，光临我们的现场。其实今天呢，我们有很多媒体界的朋友，我非常的要谢谢王菲先生呢给7天这个机会。因为疫情的原因呢，我们有很多天，我应该说很多天没有见面了。那么作为呢多元文化论坛，我觉得我刚才前面全部都是英语啊，我觉得尤其是我从 Montreal 这个 French city 来到这个多伦多这个英语的 city，very fast English 所以我觉得我们还是要用一下中文。那么 without further ado， 我今天呢，因为我们的 panelist， 我邀请到的嘉宾呢，也是在 multicultural 方面呢，在传播的 recording 方面呢，就是大咖吧，是吧？他们在 promoting the culture 方面都是有很高的造诣。那么 without further ado， I would like to invite our panelists today. So first, Madam Tracy Liu晨曦。晨曦呢，他是环球华语融媒体副台长、市场与公关总监 （Vice Director）。Marketing and Public Relations, Global Chinese Convergence Media。晨曦呢，同时他也是新闻科班出身，曾经在中国的省报、香港文汇报，做过记者。他来到加拿大23年，曾在《星岛日报》《世界日报》工作，也曾担任过环球华语多伦多版的社长。好 ，Next one, Madam Mariana Michalicino，Madam。Founder of Empire World Inc., General Manager of its Media Corporation, exclusive marketing communication consultant. Thank you for joining us. Next one, Mr. 好，下一个我们有请到的呢是我们的嘉宾呢，Alan Lau 刘少卿。
阿赖呢，他是华人移民口述历史中心总制片人 GBAC 未来影像地的艺术总监。有请阿赖。Chief Production Officer。He and our Immigrants Also History Institute, Art Director, GBAC Future Film Festival. Last but not least, Fred Wang。王飞呢是华人移民口述历史中心发起人、总策划 ，Founder and Executive Director. He and our Immigrants Also History Institute. Thank you for joining us. So 我们今天的论坛呢 ，basically 呢，我会呢向4位嘉宾呢提问几个问题，那么大家对这个环节进行讨论。同时，如果我们下边呢有朋友希望问到哪个问题，或者问到哪个嘉宾哪个问题，也可以随时举手 join 我们，好吧 ？So welcome to our forum. Basically, I have some questions. Some questions are for everyone. Some questions are for maybe one of you. So currently, I would like to pose a general question. Since the Confederation of Canada's 150 years ago, over 200 ethnic groups have lived on this land, shaping the country to be a multicultural and inclusive society, while also making it one of the most attractive countries towards immigrants in the world. As an immigration or as a visual minority, how can you contribute to Canada? Contribute to Canada's multiculturalism while also maintaining your own culture identity. So we are all coming from Fred first. Okay, so 这个问题呢，我可能还需要再用中文念一遍，因为我们还有直播间那边成千上万的朋友们。加拿大联邦已经成立了155年，那么在155年来呢，已经有超过200个民族生活在这块土地上，使这块土地的多元文化图谱色彩斑斓，有力地塑造了加拿大包容平和的多元文化特性，使这个国家呢成为世界上少有的具有强烈吸引力的国家之一。作为移民或者说作为少数族裔，如何在加拿大这块土地上既对多元文化有所贡献，又保持自己的文化特色？那么我们从 Fred 开始。
谢谢大家。中国老有一句话呀，叫落叶归根，所以一般强调这个民族文化，老强调到落叶归根。其实中国还有一个词儿叫落地生根。对于移民来说呢，落地生根可能比落叶归根呢更现实、更急迫，也更这个有意义价值。因为我们要考虑到，大家要想是一个树落叶以后归根了，这个树会长得更繁茂，发展的更能发展成一片森林，还是落地生根更容易发展成一片森林？所以我觉得这是我们移民需要考虑的问题。谢谢。
谢谢。I prefer speak Mandarin. 我想，我们非常幸运能够生活在一个开放、包容、文化多元的国家。正如我们现在正在做的事情，口述历史这个项目，我们用我们的记录手段记录下来我们华人移民的故事。那么这个本身它就是我们在这个国家这片土地上，来倡导文化多元、兼容并包的一个动作。这是一个很好的案例，这是我们在做的事情。未来呢，我们还希望我们可以做更多的事情。我们过去说，越是民族的越是世界的，我们这句话也可以反过来讲，越是世界的也越是民族的。加拿大是一个多族裔的社会，在这里除了有我们华裔，我们还有来自世界各地的各个族裔的朋友，大家在这里和谐共处。我很享受，我很 enjoy 这个生活。我希望我们未来可以做得更多，做得更好。谢谢。
First of all, I would like to thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today and to represent Greeks being member of the big Canadians of this country. I have been here for only 6 years, and I find that it's very hard, and I came straight from Greece, so I'm a newcomer, if you could say so. One of the things that I've found they're more needed is to preserve the culture, the language, the religion, because we feel that we need it more because we are abroad, right? So the need is higher. The things that we can do for each culture to preserve our own cultures is to accept the others first. So in many multicultural countries, including Canada, there have been many academic discussions about diversity and inclusion. And yes, there is diversity, there is acceptance, but we have a lack in inclusion. And that's a very, very important thing that we still need to work on. It's something that we have to work all collectively. And that's the idea that I came up with the Media World. The idea behind my startup company is to celebrate each other's culture in any different way. That's also a social innovation, of course, because it's the first time that we should actually go out there and say, yes, now it's the time, because inclusion can eliminate also hate. I heard earlier some speeches, great experiences, saying how they have been discriminated, how they have went through things. We have the Asian hate rising, as we heard earlier. We have experienced that too. When we first came in North America as Greeks, they were calling us the dirty Greeks. We were isolated in Ellis Island, in New York, or every culture has been through stuff, and that's for sure. The answer is love. It's so simple. So love our own culture and love each other's culture. That's the only answer on hate. That's my.
Thank you, Maria.
我们都知道多元文化呢是在加拿大历史上经过很长的历史哈，在70年代呢，我觉得是老杜鲁多时代呢就开始，一直到那个82年才形成那个决议，88年正式颁布。我觉得在加拿大，我觉得很幸运啊，生活在加拿大一个适宜生活的地方，因为加拿大呢是一个多元民族的，不像就像我们叫马赛克文化，对吧哈？不像美国是个大熔炉，所以我觉得生活在这里我们很幸运，可以发自我们各个文化的特点，各个族裔的特点。我觉得作为一个移民到加拿大的第一代人，我来了20多年，在这里也办了报纸，现在又做传媒，就是说电子媒体。我觉得我们本身做这个工作呢，就是在传播我们自己的中国的文化，也是在多元文化和我们的中国文化之间呢，我们是搭起了一个很好的桥梁。我觉得是这样。
好的，谢谢 Tracy。那么我的第二个问题呢，是我们通过哪些形式活动来实现各个族裔呢对加拿大多元文化社会的贡献？就是我这个问题呢，主要是问到一些形式和活动，因为就像刚才说的，我们进5月呢是亚裔文化月或者 Heritage Month、Asian Heritage Month。那么 what kind of activities or what kind of ethnic minorities to do to contribute to Canada? And meanwhile, highlight these contributions. What kind of activity can you do to contribute to the society as a whole? Mariana, maybe you can first.
Well, first of all, I think that coming together is very important. So cultural events and multicultural events like this one that we attend today is very, very important for contributing each culture to this cause. No, us personally, me as a company and as a person, I'm also at the Greek International Film Festival tour of Canada. That's one way. Other ways is always to be involved with communities and events and try to celebrate each other's culture.
So you mentioned future festival. 那么我们的 刘少卿先生呢 ，Alan Liao， 他呢也是在 Film Festival 这个行业呢做得非常的好，在国内呢也曾经作为电视的制片人、电影的制片人、电影节的选片人。那么少卿，你来说说看，我们如何通过哪些活动来对加拿大的多元文化有所贡献？
好，谢谢。我刚刚讲，我们正在做的这个华人移民口述历史项目呢，其实也是我们形式之一，我们能够做的贡献的形式之一。未来呢，我们也会继续做下去。我们完成了这一期的华人移民口述历史项目之后，我们会开展更多族裔的口述历史项目。这是第一。第二呢，刚刚您也提到了这个电影节的运营，类似电影节的运营这样的事情，刚好我们有另外一个团队呢，我们在运营一个以多元文化为背景的一个青年电影节，叫 Quebec Future Festival。我们今天现场也有我们团队的一些同事在现场。这也是我们正在做和未来要坚持做下去的形式之一。那么，回到口述历史这个项目呢，口述历史是我们历史学研究的一种方式方法，区别于传统的历史学研究。我们在口述历史项目它的成果之外，今天大家看到的是我们口述历史的我们这个项目的一期成果。在这个标准的动作之外，我们也会试图努力去开发更多的内容和形式，比如除了刚刚我讲的电影节的运营，我们也有在制作一些衍生的纪录片产品，一些衍生的影视产品，甚至包括我们采访过的案例里头，其中有一些非常生动的、感人的故事，我们也试图把它开发成电影项目，而且这样的工作呢，我们正在做。我们希望未来我们可以有更丰富的内容和形式呈现给大家。谢谢。
刚才少卿提到呢，他主要呢就是因为他也是未来影像季呢，艺术总监，电影节的艺术总监。那么他提到了，主要是用呢电影这种形式，但是除了口述历史这件事以外呢，主要是用电影的形式。那么晨曦呢，我们来问问 Tracy 看看。
你要说这个形式呢，我觉得有很多种哈。比方说我们在办报纸的时候，办了，我在这个报纸14年。14年中呢，我们干了14年的儿童绘画比赛。我觉得这些每一次的儿童绘画比赛呢，我们都有几百个人参加，几百个人中间呢，也有很多是外国的小孩子，各个族裔的。我觉得这本身呢，就是一种文化的各个的显示自己的文化，也是把我们的文化融合在他们的，就是说让他们来大家交流吧，就是这样。还有我们也搞了很多的形式呢，比方说。跟社区活动呢，搞了一些插花啊、烘焙呀，这些都是一种，说还有一些音乐的卡拉 OK 比赛呢，我觉得都是一种就是传播中国文化的一种特色哈。还有好多种活动，比方说我们这边搞了很多的文化节呀什么的，我觉得都是各种形式的传播我们中国的这种文化特色。另外呢，我觉得报纸呢，我们宣传了好多，就像最近的大选还很多年，宣传了好多主流媒体的，包括我们现在移民故事，主流媒体的各个的一些政策呀，还有一些就文化宣传，包括一些我们还组织很多观影，就是把中国的电影在这边的首场的观影礼啊，我觉得这都是各种形式的传播一种我们中国的文化，也是把加拿大的主流文化带给中国的新移民。我觉得我们做了很多这样的形式的交流。
非常好。那么现在呢，我们来问问王飞先生啊。王飞呢，他作为这个华人移民口述历史中心的发起人和策划人呢，他其实从2013年呢就开始在中国大陆呢从事口述历史工作，带领团队完成并出版了《光辉》和《燃烧》2部口述历史书籍。然后他在2019年呢发起创办 K&R Immigrant Oral History Institute。那么致力于在加拿大呢开展华人移民和少数族裔的口述历史工作。那么 除了这个以外啊，因为今天所有围绕的都是口述历史，那么除了这个口述历史这种形式以外，或者说除了您在华人社区做这个以外，那么我们其他的打算或者其他的活动有哪些 ？Fred。
谢谢啊！刚才大家在陈述的时候，其实我一直在思考一个问题，就是什么叫多元文化？多元文化，我觉得是分表层跟里层的。表层的就是各种文化表现形式，肤色不同，语言不同，美食不同。但是呢，它里层呢，就是每一个民族它的民族特点。我们做口述历史，其实就是要把这些民族特点展现出来，凝固起来。其实每一个民族的民族特点都会有机会形成加拿大这个国家的新的国民性。所以在这里头呢，我们就不光是要做华人移民的口述历史，我们下一步计划也要做其他族裔的口述历史，或者跟像这位美丽的女士这样的其他族裔的做口述历史的人呢，我们要合作，把其他族裔的口述历史也一并做起来。这样子的话呢，更有利于把各个民族的最良好的那些民族特征、人性特征在加拿大形成一个社会记忆，这个社会记忆就会变成加拿大的国民性。谢谢大家。
好 ，Mariana. Fred said that, besides the Chinese community, he would like to extend his project to other ethnic groups. So how can the Greek community, collaborate with the Chinese community?
I think that since we all share the same needs, and especially, I would say, you would allow me that the Greek and Chinese communities, and not only communities as cultures generally speaking, are two of the most ancient in the entire world, right? So we have many things in common, believe me. I know that there is already a project called Grek, and it has been participation from 3 Canadian universities and 1 university in Greece, with the exact same project. So the communication for uniting a project, because it's a virtual museum, that's the dream, a virtual museum and a documentary to be, it's in progress. I mean, the first plan with interviews is already completed, but it's something that you, of course, could collaborate with, because oral history is very, very important. Not only here in Canada, I think it's what it has preserved our cultures all these years, even in the dark ages that we have been through as nations. Oral history is very, very important for cultural preservation.
Thank you, Mariana. 那么我们刚才呢，就是不断的呢提到这个文化的融合，保持自己的文化。那么因为有200多个民族呢生活在加拿大这块土地上，那么我就想说，那么我们如何呢，在就是保持自己的文化基因和符号？因为慢慢的就融合开来了，对吧？所有的文化之间会有一个所谓的 inclusive， 所谓的 diversification， 对吧？那么我们如何保持自己的文化基因 ？How can ethnic minorities preserve their own identity? Mariana.
Again, I think that I would just repeat myself at this point. But I think, first of all research being done is very, very important to show the next generations what we have been through as nations. We shouldn't forget that how Canada has been formed is through its pieces from the global history. So whatever was happening in one area was affecting Canada because immigrants were coming in from this particular place. And that's around the world. So preserving all these stories and promoting also, because there's also a funny story here, that the stories in Canada, the immigrant stories, are not actually very known in our homelands. People there are living in another world, and they don't know what we have been through here. And it's very important to know how these historical facts have actually impacted Greek immigrants, Chinese immigrants, and as an entire whole thing, the Canadian history and society.
Thank you, Mariana. 那么我想问问 Tracy。
保留，我觉得，比方说你们今天这个书，我觉得都是一个很好的保留，对吧？因为它有文字记录下来的这些我们各种族裔的文化，保留中国的文化特色。我觉得你们今天现场，比方说那边的书法，对吧？上善若水，这些书法，包括我们，就刚才我也讲了很多，就是下一代的。我觉得你要想传承下去，下一代我觉得是很重要的。所以我们下一代可能他们现在很多人不会说了中文，所以现在一些中文学校的教育呀，包括一些绘画比赛呀，包括唱歌比赛呀，好多吧，我觉得都是一种保留。但是呢，从长远的来说，怎样的更好的保留？我觉得可能书、电影、记录，这能更让孩子们能便于接受吧。
是，那这个呢，正是邵青和王菲他们正在做的。我们来听听他们两位的观点。来，王菲，你先来。
好啊，这个其实刚才主持人提到这个，我想到我们采访中的一个实例，就是我们在这个蒙特利尔采访中采访了一位这个加拿大勋章的获得者，他创立一个吉尼斯的世界纪录，就是敲中国鼓。他在7月1号加拿大国庆的时候，这个组织全加拿大的华人各个城市同时击中国鼓，这样子取得了一个记录。我刚才就在想保留和传承这个问题，就是保留和融合，其实它是一个相辅相成的事儿。我当时也想，如果他在10月1号敲中国鼓，那就纯粹是一个叫保留。他如果在加拿大国庆这天7月1号敲中国的鼓，它就是融合和保留共存。我觉得融合和保留共存可能比独立的要保留会更容易和更长远。谢谢。
我非常赞同王菲这个观点。其实呢，每一个族裔呢，因为在这块土地上生活，那么在保留自己文化基因和符号的这个基础上，最主要呢，第一要传承，第二呢，要对这个社会呢有所贡献，对吧？否则的话呢，这个多元文化社会，我们只活在自己的小窝里边，那对这个社会的贡献就会有所减少。那么我们来听听邵青的意见。
OK， 好，谢谢。首先我非常同意这几位老师的分享和他们的观点。那我做一点补充呢，我们思考一下文化的定义。文化是什么？文化是一种历史的积存，它是一种历史的文化，不同的文化符号积存的一种呈现。它不是一个固定的，它是一直在发展变化的。所以文化不只是过去，也是未来。我的观点呢，就是在如何传承和保留我们的民族性和民族文化这个话题上，我是持一种开放和 open 的态度和观点。我觉得文化不只是过去，也是未来。我们顺其自然，积极的去面对，积极的去融入，积极的去面向未来。我们也在创造新的文化，这个过程也是我们保留我们自己的文化的一部分。谢谢。
好，谢谢。那么我想问一下呢，在现场的朋友们呢，有没有什么问题呢？想对4位嘉宾提出来的，有没有问题？好，孙教授，
我是媒体人，我叫孙瑞祥。今天非常荣幸能参加这样一个氛围。我本人呢，在国内大学的时候呢，也是做口述史的研究和这个实践。我来到加拿大以后呢，我也创办了一个叫做瑞祥口述史深入访谈的这样一个平台。所以今天见到各位专家学者非常高兴。那我想呢，以后可能会有更多的合作的机会。那我有一个问题呢，想问各位。就是我们讲的是口述史，它和一般所讲的历史研究、历史学科的研究，它在方法、形式、手段等方面有什么不同？同时，我们做口述史研究的 这个难点在哪儿？请教各位，谢谢。
谢谢曾老师。
各位来聊聊。
OK， 首先我认为这个问题呢，王飞老师可能回答会更全面和深入。那我先说一下我的理解。传统的历史学研究呢，可能它的成果呈现出来的成果，更多的是一些比如说年代、事件、评价、结论，往往是一些文献性质的这种成果。那么，但是我们思考历史是怎么构成的呢？历史是由我们一个个鲜活的生命一代一代的构成的、形成的。那么，口述历史的研究和传统历史学研究，它最大的区别就是它面对的对象是一个个有生命、有血有肉、有喜怒哀乐的个人。我们在开始这个项目的时候，我们确定了一个我们项目执行的原则，就是包括我们不持立场，然后所以我们的采访对象里头会有不同背景、持有不同观点和立场的人。你可以看到，可能某一个采访对象他完全是这一个立场、这种观点，而另外一个采访对象他也许完全是一个相反的观点和立场。历史不是绝对的，历史是由我们所有的人构成的，是由我们所有的有血有肉、有生命、有喜怒哀乐、有观点、不同的观点和立场的人构成的。所以，历史它不是一种颜色，我们现实也不是一种颜色。我认为，这就是口述历史和传统的历史学研究最大的区别。谢谢。
王飞老师有补充吗？
少卿基本说的全面了，我简单说两句，就是历史是一个骨架，这个口述历史是骨架上的血肉。比如说，你如果将来查历史书，查到2022年加拿大华人170多少万，这精确到位。但是这些华人如何生活的，他们怎么生活的，他们生活的细节是什么，这些就需要口述历史来回答。刚才这个孙教授说的口述历史的难点在哪？口述历史其实难点就在于你完全把自己脱开在外，去真实的记录发生了的。口述历史的里头，学术界经常有一个争论，就是说真实与不真实。后来我们的结论就是，只要你真实记录的那个人的真实表达，它就是这段历史的真实。谢谢大家。
晨曦有没有补充？
我不是专家，我只是谈我个人感受。我觉得传统的历史可能更严谨一些，但是口述历史呢，我觉得可能更鲜活一些，是吧？我是觉得口述的历史，它讲的是自己经历的一些东西，有血有肉，更鲜活一点，可能大家也更愿意看一些。这就是为啥我认为《三国演义》可能比正规的三国更来看一点，是不是？
Okay, I would like to translate this question from Professor to Mariana. Mr. Sun works as a professor at Tianjin University, Tianjin Normal University. So his question is how oral history different from the history research, history study. What is the different angle? Because Alan and Fred are doing oral history recording. And his question is from mainly different from academic point of view.
I think that there's no actual difference, because if you see that YY project, you will see that it's also oral. We took interviews. I was one of the. I was participating on the research. I was taking interviews from people, so that was oral as well. That's why I mentioned the importance of that, and I can see the importance of the Chinese as well. There's always more opportunities, and this is endless. This is endless, and the other aspect of the research of the Greeks that they already have done in an aspect is that it was also a language aspect of that, and I believe it should be the same for the Chinese research too. We have different dialects, as Chinese do have different dialects as well, right? And there's also a phenomenon that has been observed. We have made new words that they have been combined from Greek and English. I don't know if the same thing occurs in Chinese too, but we see, we have some endings, for example, and we say the carpet, we call it carpeto, which it doesn't exist as a word, but we made it to make it more sense and look more familiar with our endings, and you know. And this is very, very interesting in an academic perspective as well. The one is the history, the other is the language, and then it's also the sociology behind it. So it's an endless, even if there are some researches about it, it's so huge that more research, according to my opinion, needs to be done. And then comparisons, how the one culture adapted, how the other. What were the differences? Was the background or how they came, you know, that switched that adaptivity to the new environment? So there are many aspects that you can actually take into account and see how the local cultures, the new cultures adapted to the environment.
Thank you, Mariana. 那么我想问问呢 ，Yeah, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not only one. I would say the same saying that the same way that it takes a village to raise a child, the same way it takes an entire country to accept multiculturalism and move forward and do things all together. So I don't believe that there's one answer to it. We should all sit down and see, first of all, as I said earlier, celebrate each other's culture. There's no shame to it. I'm Greek, I can celebrate Chinese culture, why not? With acceptance, we can move forward. With multicultural festivals, they're being done already across the country anyway. I mean, I have been in Alberta, there's also a big heritage festival there. We are already doing this. I believe that the next step that all cultures, because as I was sitting down there as an audience, I noticed many similarities on the stories, and I said, oh, hold on a minute, am I at the Greek community right now? No, and I was in a Chinese multicultural event, and I said, we have exactly the same needs, we have exactly the same concerns, so the only difference is, okay, maybe the language, which we do have though English as a common language, so there is a communication that we can take advantage, right? And it's also this country. So we left our countries, which we love, and everybody would love to go back. And it's always a dream, but we never go. When I was in Greece, I was hearing stories from people that they left only for 5 years. Okay, I'm gonna go make some money, go back. No one is doing it though. There's something that's keeping us here, and I believe that's why it's also the title of the book. We are here, and we are here for a reason. We are here because we feel more free. We feel more that we have more opportunities, and this opportunity comes with multiculturalism. Because we are here, so we learn how to collaborate every day in our daily work, right? In our jobs every day, that's a fact. But we need to open up. because we have our communities closed. So we have the Greek community close to the Greeks. Okay, there's one big event on Danforth, you know, Danforth Taste once a year. That's it. Same thing with the other communities as well. We have closed our communities to serve only our people. But we need to, if we don't believe that our culture is valuable enough to share it with other cultures, if we don't believe it, how do we expect other cultures to come and join us? So we need to make them more accessible to other cultures, and that's the future steps. No, it's not only one step, but that's what we need to do. That could be through online marketing. And again, that's how, as an immigrant, I created Imperial World, because it's based on cultural marketing, serving local communities, local businesses, and at the same time our home countries as well, because we all go back at some point to visit and spend money there, but we spend our daily money here in Canada. So these are next steps. Turn to cultural marketing and open up our own culture to other cultures. Feel that it's worth it. Every culture worth it to spread. That's my answer.
Thank you. 好，下边哪位老师有没有补充？那么我们还想问问呢，就是在看看直播间呢和墨风的直播间那边有没有朋友呢提问？如果没有提问的话呢，我们可能要结束这个环节。那么我呢，其实也想特别借这个机会呢，谢谢多伦多的媒体圈的朋友们，因为照顾不周哈，我再借这个机会说一下。那么我们移民口述历史中心和7天呢，也给大家呢准备了一个小的礼品袋，都在前边接待处那个地方。大家呢，待会儿咱们活动结束的时候呢，大家可以自己带着袋子走哈。但是我们下边呢还有环节，所以我要把话筒呢交回给我们韩校，交回我们给韩校。Thank you so much for joining us with the forum. Thank you. So we are going to, you know, next step. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And all four guest speakers, so wonderful sharing. And I believe our work will emphasize the importance to have this diverse viewpoint and experience that offer an alternative way to view Canada, to view Canadian history. And now we're going to have more time to talk about the book, because today is the launch day. It's called The Birthday of My Choice. Now let's welcome the publisher of Here We Stay, Our Choice, the chief editor of the North American Chinese Research Press, Mr. Yang Qi, on stage to introduce more details about this book. 那接下来呢，我们说到今天呢是我们的新书发布会，大家也看到了我们的选择海洋省的第1卷已经这个新鲜出炉了，所以呢，我们今天非常开心，请到北美汉语出版社的总编，也是我们这本书的出版人杨琦先生，来给我们介绍一下选择。
OK， 大家好，谢谢大家的光临。Hello everyone. Thank you for coming here to witness an exciting time. The first volume of the oral history series of Chinese immigrants in Canada, Here We Stay Maritime Provinces, has been officially released. My name is Yang Qi, and my wife is Miss Li Junhong. We have been publishing books for about 20 years. In 2018, we immigrated to Canada and continued to publish, establishing North American Chinese Research Press. We have planned and published many historical materials which have been included in many of the World Libraries, including the National Library of China, the University of Toronto Libraries, and the Library of Congress of the United States. I'm sure here we say it's the most unique set of books. It truly reflects the living conditions of ordinary Chinese immigrants in Canada. It shows the diverse living conditions and views and attitudes of Chinese immigrants from different experiences, from different perspectives, and from different times. The publishing team from the Immigrants' Oral History Institute undertook the task of compiling and publishing the interview records for these books. We used the oral history interviews as a guide for editing and publishing the literary accounts of the Maritime Provinces volume, the Ontario volume, the Quebec volume, the Prairie Provinces volume, and the BC Province volume. This is a documented history of immigrant life showing readers in an oral style. The ordinary and wonderful pictures of the Chinese immigrant community. The city of Shanghai, Prince Edward Island, is the birthplace of the Confederation of Canada. So it was used as a starting point to first publish the Maritime Provinces volume. Thousands of hours of interviews with 19 Chinese immigrants were transcribed to hundreds of thousands of words. We have selected excerpts from our interviews and compiled them into the first volume of the Here We Stay series. In general, this book has the following main features. Firstly, the book organizes the 19 interviews into 19 chapters. The content not only reflects the individual characteristics of the interviewees, but also takes into account the comprehensiveness and differences of the immigrant group. Secondly, the reader can get a true sense of passion and sentiment in the interviews. The book is published in a hybrid publishing model. Each chapter has a QR code, so readers can scan it to watch the interview clips. They can immerse themselves in what the interviewees feel and think. Thirdly, English is added to spread these cultural stories beyond the limits of just one language. And lastly, this book fully embodies the characteristics of oral history, retaining the style of spoken language. It retains the greatness of civilian history with ordinary words. Here we say opens a new and unique perspective for exchange between Canada and China, which is the goal of us, so we have officially promoted this book in China through the China National Publications Import and Export Limited Corporation. It means more readers can feel Canada's inclusive multiculturalism, and it means new immigrants can integrate faster into Canadian society. Today, Here We Stay is open for pre-order, and everyone can buy it on our website. The link is on screen. The publishing house will uphold the tenet of record, inherit, create, and harvest. We believe that books are eternal riches, and will insist on providing readers with genuine accounts of history. Finally, I would like to solemnly announce that the second volume of Here We Stay series, the Ontario volume, is already being edited and published. As a major region of Chinese immigrants, the Ontario interviews include a diverse group of people, including refugees, lawyers, business operators, and agricultural professionals. As well, interviews are completed for the third volume about Quebec. Let's look forward to continuing this wonderful project. Thank you to all of you. 谢谢大家。
问你一个问题，就是我们这本书什么时候可以买得到？我们在哪里可以买得到？今天很多朋友都问，我也想收藏一本呢。
这个问题呢是这样，我需要向大家特别说明一下，因为我们这本书呢，我们 是以华人移民口述历史啊，大家知道这个主题。那么我们更多的要聚焦于全球的华人群体，包括加拿大的，也包括其他的国家的，甚至包括中国国内的，特别是国内很多的华人非常对我们这个群体非常感兴趣的。所以呢，我们呢用了很多的心思，用了很多的功夫，推广这本书，特别是在国内。我们目前呢已经正式的通过了国内的这个图书审读，而且呢在国内可以正式发行。所以呢，我们现在呢这本书呢就是在前不久刚刚通过审读嘛，所以我们现在这本书已经开始印刷。那么目前呢已经可以接受预定。在我们的网站上，我们的出版社的网站，口述历史中心的网站上面都可以接受预定。同时很快在亚马逊上，大家也可以来订购这本书。
所以呢，如果今天收看我们在直播间的朋友，那么我们现场的朋友，大家想要收藏我们这本书的时候，就可以，我们这时候其实应该是上链接的环节了，但是大家可以到我们的网站上去看一下。我觉得这本是一个非常有纪念价值的意义的书。那么我们可能先从选购它开始，将来我们也可以成为它的一部分，是吧？是的，我们也希望能够实现这一点。好，谢谢我们的杨奇先生。那么我们今天的这个活动呢，也是一个非常好来庆祝我们亚洲传统乐的这个活动。借着我们选择的这本书的新书发表，也借着我们口述历史项目，我们看到我们加拿大华人做出的独特的贡献、历史经验的分享。那么我们在这里呢，也特别想感谢到莅临现场的每一位嘉宾和我们线上的每一位朋友的大力支持。我们感谢我们主办方来举办这样一个重要的论坛，来一起见证和庆贺我们取得的里程碑的纪念意义，也让我们给彼此提供了一个跨文化交流的分享平台，让我们共同去庆祝、体会和我们一起来肯定、享受我们加拿大多样性、包容性和平等方面的共同的价值观。那么最后呢，我也想感谢我们台前幕后所有的志愿者、我们的媒体朋友和我们的工作人员的辛苦的付出。那在我宣布我们今天活动结束之前，我还有一个重磅的礼物要送给我们所有的朋友，就是请大家来欣赏一下我们华人移民口述历史的一个短片 Home Here or There。那我们也期待我们这个项目的后续工作能够带来更加深远的影响和意义，精彩可期，我们未来再相聚。谢谢大家。
My name is Mary. I am 89.5 years old. I never arrived. My parents came here, and they came in 1900. Well, I think times are really hard there, and they all want to experience Gold Mountain. That's what they had heard about, and everybody wanted to go to Gold Mountain, but it wasn't as gold as they found out when they came here.
Albert Lee. I'm 68 years old. I was born in 1952 here in Halifax. And my grandfather arrived here in 1903. He traveled by steerage class, which is below the bottom part of the deck, where you had, of course, like tourist class and first class above that. And people were crammed down below deck, which is the most common way the early Chinese immigrants arrived here in Canada, or North America for that matter. And they would prepare their own food down below there for a 3-week journey across the Pacific. What was also known in China as Gold Mountain, by the way, because the original Chinese that went to California went to work in the gold fields and mines, and some of them ended up prospecting, but also too, they were restricted. Some of them were just more lucky and fortunate to work in the lumber camps and mining camps, being cooks, until like the railway came, and then there was the railway workers that were brought over to build the Canadian Railway that united Canada, which is also, by the way, misnomer that the early Chinese settlers in this part of the country were not railway workers that migrated. There were some. After the railway was built, there were a lot of Chinese that couldn't find work and afford to go back to China. So there's a slow migration going east from the west coast. There were restrictions, basically legislated by unions, labor unrest on the West Coast. So there's prejudice against the Chinese as a threat, taking jobs in natural resource industries such as mining, lumber industry, gold mines, as well as like other occupations. There's a threat that the Chinese labor was undercutting. And so there was a head tax which started at $50, very Chinese, entering Canada, which our grandfather paid when he came here. And then our father, when he arrived in 1960,